Okay, checking if we're online. Checking if we're online. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure we are live. And that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And thank you very much for joining in today. We're all doing great. In just a short while, allow me to have myself set up. Let me set up my iPad. I don't know what the health of my live stream is here. It's showing me it's so good. So let me just switch to what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. So before we start, my name is Joseph Opio from you. I do not like introducing myself. You can always see from everything that I've been doing. So let's create here, learn HTML4. So in today's lesson, we are going to learn basically about CSS, and let me open this with code. We're going to learn about CSS, and we're going to talk a lot about CSS. Everything we're going to talk about today is CSS. So what we're going to do is we are going to create an index.html file here, and yeah. So I want to pass through CSS so fast, and I think I'll be able to do a lot of things with you. It's quite long today. I'm trying to get everything done in the shortest possible. So we're going to talk about previously, when we began dealing with HTML, we learned how to insert headings. Starting with H1, this is, let me just say welcome to my webpage. And let me just do some placeholder text, and yes, we have this. So just format this so it looks good, and open it with live server. I have this. So we learned how to do this. Where have our signing it. And we're so happy of what we're doing, and we learned how to insert headings, paragraphs. We learned how to insert images. We learned how to create tables and divisions using div tags and span. For today, basically, I want us to see what CSS is. When we started this, I tried to show you a few things here and there where we could add in something like a style. Let me say maybe background color red, something like this, and we could see that our paragraph gets a background color. Actually, what we were using, what we call inline CSS. CSS can be inline, which means it affects tag. Let's say for example we have a table, and in this table we have a tr, and in tr we have a th. Let's have a header. Let's say maybe just give this a style with a color blue. Now this will give your text a color, and then also let me do bold one, something like this. So you'll see that if I'm to add any other rows, Joseph or P form, you can see it from my website. That this color blue which I added to this table is actually affecting everything. If I say maybe for only this row, I want to give it a background color, maybe give it a style of a background color. Let me not use conceal. Let me use one of these which are available here, aquamarine. You'll see that it will affect now. What we were using here with this style tag is called line Let's say, for example, below my table, let me just format this a bit. Okay, good. And let's say I have a paragraph, with let's say 100 words. Another paragraph with 50 words. And then after another paragraph. So we can see that I have here very many paragraphs. If I say maybe style of, okay, let me give it a background color of, let me use violet. So you see that it will affect the color of white. White like this. So you'll see that the text here has become white and it is having a background color. But then now there are situations where I want, if I apply formatting, I should apply only one formatting and it should affect everything within my HTML document. With that, I will introduce you to what we call, I think let me put here a comment as we had been learning before. Comment, let me say inline CSS. We introduce what we call internal CSS. Internal CSS. How do we insert an internal CSS? An internal CSS, you can put it literally anywhere in your HTML, but it's good practice. I repeat, it's good practice to internal CSS the head section. And that's why right here I've created internal CSS. Now, if I'm using inline CSS and internal CSS, I will have to put internal CSS here, style tag like this, and then now that's when I will introduce you to what we call the CSS syntax. How do you write a CSS syntax? For us to write CSS syntax, we have to define the property and the value. Property attribute, then maybe where required also a value. So for example, if I want to define CSS for, let's say, the headings one, I will have to use a selector for H1. What is a selector? If you look at our H1 here, an angle bracket, then H1, and then a closing angle bracket. For us to change this tag into a selector, we only strip off the angle brackets and now H1, that becomes the selector for H1. Then we put an opening and closing curly brace. Then from there, maybe we can say maybe we want to give it a text decoration of underline, something of this kind. So what happens? My H1 here has got an underline. Why? Because here I said every H1 in my document, give it a text decoration of underline. Let's say, for example, below this table, before the paragraph, I want to put another H1 and maybe say here H1. Automatically, it will come in with an underline because I defined an internal CSS. Internal CSS affects the whole HTML document. So let's say, for example, I wanted to make all my paragraphs like, maybe I want to make them to have a font family of maybe Gill Sans and or maybe I need basically to use a sans serif font. I could say paragraph. Sorry, I'm having trouble speaking today. I don't know what's happening. Paragraph, and now I would say maybe font family. Gill Sans. Use this like this. I shall get to know what that is. So you see that all my paragraphs have gotten same font. All of them, just by me defining it. If I say maybe I want to have them maybe all italicized, I can say text transform. Wait, text transform. Then I say italicize. Let me like this. You'll see all paragraphs will become capital letters just by doing this because I've defined this internally. Now, 90% of the time when we are dealing with our website, shall have, like, let's say the index page, maybe about page, about HTML. Maybe we have another, maybe contact page, contact. Maybe we shall have another page, maybe something like a portfolio. So you'll see that in our portfolio.html, actually, what is happening is that, I mean, in our HTML, we are actually having one. I mean, we are having one website having all these pages, and so much of the time, what you want is, when you do your website, you want everything to look the same. That's when I'll introduce you to what we call external CSS. So I can create an external CSS file, and that external CSS file, I'll link it to all my HTML documents, and then with that, I'll be able to use the same styles for all the documents. So how do we get an external CSS file? I'll right click here, choose file, maybe style, this. Now, for me to be able to link this to my HTML, let me start with this. I will come below my title here. I can put it anywhere, but much of the time, what we prefer as web design for your channel CSS. So it's here, and then I can put it in style here, like this. What will happen is that whatsoever style that I define here actually affect. Whatever style that I define in this style.css actually affect whatsoever is in my index.html. Let me just reduce the size a bit less. Hope we shall be able to see it. Let me just make sure I can see what you're seeing, right? Now let me just make it big a bit. That's okay. So let me close off about.html, contact.html, and portfolio.html. So let me just transfer these styles here. I'll cut them out of here, come here, and then paste them here. So with that done, nothing in my HTML. Because if I look at my page source, I'll see that I have style.css linked, and when I click on style.css, I'll see the styles that I defined earlier, and they're all there and they're working good. So let's go on now. Let me just get rid of this for now, or let me just leave it there just for us to be able to learn. So what happens is, what is the order of precedence of these styles? What I mean is, how do these styles affect, in which order do these styles, these CSS cascading style sheets affect our HTML? First, your HTML document will read all the external CSS. After that, it reads the internal CSS. Then after that, it reads inline CSS. Let's say, for example, in my internal CSS, I've said all paragraphs having a background color of black and a color of white. Color, let me say gray, like this. So what will happen is that all my paragraphs will have, I think, not so, just like that. Okay. So all my paragraphs will have background color of black and the color of white. So what will happen is, if I come in here and I say maybe, no, let me not use this. Yeah? You now notice that in the first paragraph I said background color should be red. Yet in the external CSS I said background color should be black. So you'll find that because this inline CSS also is defining, conflicting with an external CSS, it will take what is in the external CSS, and that is what is going to affect our HTML document. So hope we are happy with what we've learned here. Being able to define our CSS, and someone will ask me, then what is the advantage of us using external CSS? Just as I said before, external CSS, its advantage is that we can be able to, we can be able to define styles in one document and apply them to all the other documents. For example, let's say, for example, my about page. I want to do my about page, and I say in my about page, I want to give it, let's say H1. I have to put. So you'll see that my about page has these styles. Actually, let me add in more. My about page has this, but immediately I try to link it to my external CSS style. You see that immediately it will get the very styles which are in my text.html file. Why? Because I've linked it to the same CSS. Now, that makes it that it's good for us to use external CSS when we want to have the same appearance or the same look on the website. So anyway, I ran through things very, very fast, and I think let's start afresh. So how do we define CSS now? I need to use this external CSS that we could, how we can do it. So to define external CSS, you create your selector. After creating your selector, put in curly braces. After putting in curly braces, set the property and give it value. Set the property, give it a value. So here our property was text decoration and the value was underline. Assuming I want all the H1s to be uppercase, I could say text transform and I say uppercase, or let's say capitalize and uppercase. Every heading will be uppercase. Now in CSS, write a comment. This is just to quickly remind, to write a comment, we use a forward slash, then a star, then our comment, and then star, then forward slash. So like for example, I could say here, I want to comment out text uppercase, I could just do this, forward slash, just you can see all has been transformed. So I can comment out something which I do not want. Of course, right, so all right, so that is that. So let's say for example here I switch the color and I want the background color to be Alice blue, and no, let me say maroon. You can see here it has become maroon, but if I go still to my index, these ones whose background is not defined, all of them become maroon at once. All right, so that is about now. Let's have this out and let's just good. Now in CSS we can have one selector having one property value, like for example, okay, one H1 wanting to have a property of home uppercase. What will that do? It will change our text to be capital letters, one selector, property. We can also have H1. We can have something like, let's say, let me use our paragraph tag, and let's say we can give it font family. Let's say sans serif, just like that. So now I'm using one selector, one property, one value. But still, one selector can have so many properties. Like for example, here I could say I want to give it like, let's say let's give it background color. I don't know why color. Let's say I want to give it a background color of font silk. Okay, let's use color blue. So you can see that I've been able to give my paragraph. I've been able to give my paragraph 2 properties, and each one of them having its own value. I could also add another one. Maybe let's say color, and let's say maroon. Maroon doesn't work well with contrasts well. Yellow is okay. You can see that I've been able to give it 3 properties, and each of them having one value. All right. I could also do something like this. I could have more than one selector. For example, let me put here another heading. Let me have H2. Where is it? It's after this paragraph here. Let me have H2. Okay. Let's say I want this heading to also have the same properties. I mean, to also be capitalized just like H1. My CSS, I could say, I want H1 and have done it, the comma. I want them to have underline. So after doing this, you'll see that our H1 is underlined, and you'll see that also our H2 is underlined. Now, just by doing this, I can assign very many selectors, one property and one value. I could also do it, I could also give it so many, like I could say background color. I told you I don't know why I like background color, but let's say background color tomato, something of this kind. You can see I've been able to give it a light shade of red, and yeah, that has happened to both the H1 and the H2s. I could also add more. I could say maybe I want even the H3s, so that in case I define an H3 somewhere, let me define an H3 just below. Let me paragraph. So you'll see that even the H3 has got the background and the underline because I added it to. Yeah. So with that, we are able to assign many selectors, one property. Right. So now look at this. These semicolons we put at the end of our at the end of every property and value helps us separate it from other properties. Now, let me do something small here and you see how it can drastically affect your work in case you forget a semicolon. Let me just remove off only this and save. See what has happened to our HTML. Just because of one semicolon missing, everything has totally gotten distorted. We can't see things. So semicolons are very important. Very, very important when we are dealing with our CSS. So now, just like I told you before, for us to write CSS in HTML, we're writing CSS by writing an opening angle bracket, an exclamation mark, then 2 hyphens, and then oh sorry, I've enabled ligatures in my work. So you have a big arrow, but that's just good because I enabled. This is a comment in HTML, but in CSS, this does not work. How do we do it? You put / and then star. That makes it a comment. So literally this has commented out everything below. So if I want it to end here, I put a star, then / That how we write comments. So like let's say and say this exclusive if for paragraphs I could that. So I've been able to put in a comment inside my CSS. Let me just see what I have here. So now Let me spend this lesson to speak about this. I think this will be the last thing I will talk about. Maybe I'll talk about font backup values, and then I will talk about selecting HTML. All right, so from the beginning, when we've been defining colors, we've been using color yellow, tomato, somewhere dark, cornflower blue, and yeah, we're happy with what we are doing. But let me just do this word. In HTML and with all programmers, we usually do not like writing colors by their names. Why? Because it gives you less number of options of colors. You have to remember color names, you have to remember a lot of stuff here and there, and to us as web designers, that doesn't work for us. So how do we go about it now? For us to be able to work as web designers, much of the time we use a convention, and this is used by video producers, used by web programmers. We take our colors in the convention of red, green, and blue. So what is all this red, green stuff? We assign values based on the amounts of red, green, and blue that we need. For example, if we are to use red, green, blue, there are two methods we can use for finding the colors. The first one we use, two notations. We can use hexadecimal, and then we can use decimal. So what is all this hexadecimal and decimal? Hexadecimal, for those who know mathematics and who understand math, it is base 16. And then for those who understand more counting, base 10. Still those who understand math, this is base 10. Why do we call a number base 10 and base 16? Base 16 has 16 digits. The first one is 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Instead of 10, we have a digit A, then C, then D, then F. Might be hard for me to explain this right now, but the next number after F is 1, 0. One is like, you're crazy. What is this? That is 10. When you're talking about number bases basically this is not 10, this is 1, 0. So number bases, this actually pronounced as 1, 0. For example, if we are dealing with binary base is base 2. With base 2, it only has 2 digits. First digit is 0, second digit is 1. After 1, instead of 2, have 1, 0. So this is just to enable you to understand this, but I can't be able to explain it very well right now. And let me just end it at that. So with the decimal base, the normal decimal base, our counting starts from 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the next number of course will be 1, 0, just like I said earlier. But in the normal counting we call it 10. I can't be able to explain it so well right now. I see automatically right now. But this is how it is now. Let me get rid of this. So if you count the number of digits that we have in base 2 are 2, 1 and 2. In base 10 they are 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even in base 16 they are 16, 1, 4, 5, 6, 10. So let's take for example we are writing colors in the hexadecimal base. In hexadecimal, we would have our notation, of course, as RGB, like this. So we can choose either to use one single place value. Let me just do this. Single place value. Just write single P. So with single place values, we could have only one digit from 0 to F for red. Let me do this. For green, we could also have 0 to F. And then for blue also we could have 0 to F. Let me just like this. So for red 0 to F, green 0 to F, and for blue 0 to F. Let me space it out again. Like I'm going to have a lot. If we are to use, so if we are to write a color, for us to have a color like black, we would first write the pound symbol or the hash symbol, and then no value for red, no value for green, no value for blue. This will give us black. Let's try it out. So, for example here, I want to give, let me have my web page open. Let's say, for example, I want to give paragraphs a background color of black. Here, instead of cornflower blue, I would write something like pound, 0 for red, 0 for blue, and for green, and then 0 for blue. After doing this, see what will happen. Everything has become black. Now, if that means for me to get white, I would have to write something like yeah, white to hash, maximum for red, maximum for green, maximum for blue. This would give me white color. So let's try it out. Let's go to our HTML again. So let's try this out. Let's give it the color hash F, F, F. What would we get? White. So all the backgrounds have become white. Let me give it black again. Okay, so that means for us to get various colors, can mix and match. Let me go back to my. Can mix and match, get various colors. For example, if I want to write a blue color, I will say, I think, let me invert this. Let's say black. Let's do this. Sorry, my Microsoft Word skills are. Let me get this back this way. Okay, so format painter. Okay, good. So do this. We have tab stop and another tab stop here. Okay, let me tab stop here. I'm in a tab there, so I can work with clear values. Apply this to everything else. Sorry to disorganize a bit, but I'll rectify it. Okay, good. All right, so let's have examples. And our examples, for example, if I want a black color, I'll have here 0, 0, 0. If I want a white color, I'll have maximum for white, for red, I mean, maximum for green, and maximum for blue. Let me just align these. I like being very. Okay, good. So if I want a color like, let's say, red, for red I'll have maximum for red, nothing for green, nothing for blue. Let's try it out in our CS, I mean in our HTML. So let's say I want to give it a background color of red to be F. Save this. You can see that it has become red. So in that way, I'm able to mix and match. Let's say, for example, I need some bit of blue, some bit of green, maybe like around 5 for green. That would give me color like almost reddish. Maybe let's say I want to reduce the red a bit to maybe B. And see what is happening. Maybe I want blue to be maximum. Add your F. I get different colors. So I'm able to mix and match and get various colors. Now, this is when we are using a single value. How about if we are using two place values? To use two place values, this would become 0, 0. Become FF, FF, F, and this will become FF 0, 0, 0, 0. So two place values per color. They would all result into this. Let's try them out and let's see what we get. So here, let's say 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Give us black, FF, FF, FF. So it give us white. So if I want red, I would have something like so FF 0, 0, 0, 0. Red. So if I want, let's say green color, I can say 0, 0, F 0. Color, that's right. If I want a blue color, I'll have 0, 0, 0, 0, FF, and I'll get something like this blue. So I can be able to mix and match, and I can get various values that I want. So you can see this. I'm just adding in a few things, and I'm able to get various colors. Let's say if I want something like a maroon color, I can guess this. Maroon color. So I'm able to get anything, any colors. Now, for those who use Visual Studio Code, in case you want to get hexadecimal code for any color, you can just point at it, and when it shows this, just click up here. Just click up here. So this is yellow is actually FF, FF00. Tomato is FF6347. So you can get various colors. Let's say, for example, I want to maybe give color, maybe which color do I want? Look for colors here. Let's take, for example, purple, olive, drab. That is, and be able to get various colors that I want. That trick. Now, this is about using hexadecimal. Now, sometimes as an HTML web designer, you want to do your colors in decimal. To do your colors in decimal, you will have to, I think let's do this. I don't want to do real math here right now, but if we are to convert any hexadecimal number, like I think let me just have it below here. Let me have it below here. Let's have a number like F. To convert F in hexadecimal, decimal will be equal to FF equal to 2, no, not 16, sorry, I have the key. Just kidding. Use a font that is paste. By the way, when you're writing these colors, sorry, just by the way, you can use uppercase or lowercase, doesn't matter, it still works. So this will be equal to 255. You convert this from hexadecimal to decimal. So now, for us to be able to write HTML, colors in decimal, we shall need to first define that we are writing our color R, G, D, and FF in decimal. I think let me write it here. FF in hexadecimal is equal to, let me first do this. FF in hexadecimal equal to 55 and 00 hexadecimal 0. So that means if we are to write our color, we shall say RGB, and then I don't know why the thing is capitalizing this. So then you find the value for red, value for green, and the value for blue. My typing today is bad. Just type. So you define the value for red, green, and blue. Remember this very convention we had here of RGB. So what does that mean? This value here, sorry, I've over scrolled. This value can be 0, 255. Same with this, same with this. This can be from 0 to 255, 0 to 255, 0 to 255. So how would we do it? Like for example, let's say I'm writing my colors. Let's say for example, I want to change background color. Let's change this color. So what I would do is, I would say RGB bracket. Then I define the color for red 255. I want to make everything red, so this one. What would happen? All my headings have become red. That's a very bad color. Let me make it add here. This is a pure blue color. I've made RGB 55. So I could also, if I want to use the decimal, I could also just come here, click. I'm able to RGB. HSL hue, saturation, and lightness. So actually, with this is also a good trick of manipulating colors. If I'm a graphics designer, I can understand HSL more than RGB. I mean, more than hexadecimal and RGB, because I know that if I want to make this color darker, I just change this to 60%. Colors become darker. I want to make it very, very. Oh wait, if I want to make it lighter, if I want to make it very, very light, change this to 100%. This is white in color. If I want it to be very, very dark, I change it to 0%, and that becomes actually black color. So I'm able to adjust the lightness using this. That's a trick for who do not know how to like generate a color. How they call it? Color hue. Like you want like, let's say I want to design a website with my main color being purple. So here I can say I want my color to be purple. Let me get rid of it. And I may adjust just the lightness colors. Like let's say here, make this 50%, and you can see what is happening. It's becoming lighter, make it 80%. And so I'm able to generate colors that I can work with. Understand about angle from 360 degrees. Saturation can be from 0 to 100%. If I change this to 10%, you can see it becomes so dim, like it tends to become black and white. Yeah, that's for those who understand HSL, people from video background. That is about RGB and hexadecimal. Hope we are happy with what we've learned, and learned how to select elements here and there. All right, so for today I want to end here, and next time when we, I think maybe before we, next time when we meet, we shall talk about how to select HTML, and I think we've already talked about it. Next time maybe we shall meet and we shall dive deeper into HTML, and we can see how we can be able to use CSS and HTML and do a lot of things there. Today's live stream has been short-lived. Sorry, it's because I'm running off of my battery, and I'm also trying to make my live streams to be exactly 40 minutes. For today, I'm going up to 45 minutes. Thank you very much for watching. By the way, the same things I was doing this way in my index.html are actually happening in the About Me page. So you can see I'm using one CSS file to affect everything. So next time when we meet, we shall talk about how we can use HTML and CSS and use fallback values for font, how to apply many selectors to many properties, and yeah, borders and sizes and things of the kind. And we shall see how we can make our HTML stand out. So that said, thank you so much for watching. I'm happy that. All right. Sorry, I kind of ended this before while I think I was still. So, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being part of this journey. I'm sure very soon we shall be so far ahead of whatever we are learning. And thanks for tuning in.